Hey Reflections! So I did an interview with Mark Dreams 2, realized that the video was only recorded and not the audio because I had a brand new computer and didn't check the presets. So we redid the interview and I have to say it's a lot better than the last one. I learned so much from him and I'm so proud to share the knowledge that he has imparted with us. If you don't know who Mark Dreams 2 is, he is Mark Dreams, or formerly known as Mark Cubensis. And he is a self-taught shaman and has experienced countless DMT and psychedelic experiences. Now, we talk about the ism, which he calls it, or what I call it as the psychosis that the shaman enters in these realms. Also, we talk about what's really going on with the spiritual community and all of that kind of stuff. Some really dark and heavy topics. We also talk about the divine feminine and the suppression of the divine feminine. We talk about a lot of subjects, mainly the psychedelic experience. And I'm so excited to just share this stuff with you guys. So yeah, enjoy.
I just want to, start doing my podcast and shit and start doing things. And
yeah, no, like I've been a Mac user since 2008, 2007, 2008, so about 10 years. And the reason is because I studied design. I went to art school, so naturally in art school, all you use is Mac. That's what they trained us on, so that's all the software I learned how to use. So I've had my own Mac since 2007, and the old models were a bomb. Like, they would work so well. But this one, I don't know, for some reason, it just, like, there's so many problems. Mostly this thing. Like, it doesn't work.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people are having the same issues. As a content creator that uses SD cards all the time, uses like these, what do you call, external hard drives and everything. Like, we need ports, and like, this shit's bullshit. This is my second MacBook. Like, I had to return the other one because I got an open box one, and I thought, all right, like, it's open box, so like, nobody's used it. It's not a big deal. It's less money. So they gave me a $250 discount, like $300 discount, because it was open box. But it was faulty, so I had to return it, get a brand new one, which was cool because they only charged $50 more, which, like, I still had $250 off. And like, even this one, it's just like, oh my, like, the computer is nice. It's just, you can't do anything with it.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy because I feel like I'm going through the same issues with my mixing boards that I keep buying. And it's like...
what happens to your mixing board? What's going on with you?
well, no, it's just that I keep having this issue with buying all these mixing boards, and then I don't have the right adapters for them, and then I buy the right adapter, and then the adapter doesn't work, so then I have to fucking buy a separate thing, and it's like, holy shit. And this has been going on for like the past week and a half.
Right.
Like, and it's just like, damn.
Right? It's like anything that could go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah. There's a lot of obstacles in the way, but...
Well, we got this. I made sure the audio is recording this time. And like, the thing is, the old MacBooks, like, it would never be a preset where you would use QuickTime, because that's what I use. I use QuickTime to record these things. So it would never be a QuickTime preset for only the video to be recorded and not the audio. Like, it was just so weird. And like, when I did that video with you, I literally took it out of the box, didn't mess with it at all, didn't like mess with any of the presets. So that kind of pissed me off. I was just like, damn it. So today, before I even did anything, I tested it out. So something, it was my fault. I should have done that from the beginning. But again, I didn't think that that would happen because, like, literally, I didn't play with anything, and that's how it's kind of supposed to be set up. But I noticed the other one as well was set up that way as well, like only to record the video, which was kind of weird. So yeah, I kind of don't want to have the same conversation that we had last time because I like things to be super organic.
Just real. No, I get what you mean. Yeah, and that would make it so not. It almost be scripted.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You read my mind. It's like that's not what I'm about. I don't like scripted stuff. So yeah, whatever topics you want to just go through your head and just have it flow organically. What are the things on Mark's mind recently?
Oh man, jeez. Well, this can get really complex and deep then, because I have a lot of complex and deep things going through my mind because I'm trying to do so much, but it's like, man, with this whole censorship thing and everything, there's just so much going on in the world, and it's like I try to keep up with a lot of, like, I guess modern day, like, YouTubers, not just YouTubers, but people that kind of do the same things we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that every side of the spiritual community is kind of trying to do the same thing. We're all going through the same thing. Like, there's so many sides of different communities all getting censored. And it's like, I feel it all stems from the same issue. I feel like it all comes down to a similar, something up at the top that's an issue that's going on, whether it's, people think it's advertisers, but I really think it's, it's something much deeper than advertisement, because I think there's a whole war on our consciousness. I think there's as crazy as this fucking sounds to people, but it's like, I really do think it might not be like an agenda, like there's people that are thinking about it, but maybe there was. I think there's something that somehow humans got off their path. Somehow humans got distracted. We got separated from Mother Nature, which separating from Mother Nature caused us to separate from the divine feminine, which is why the ego is so running rampage right now, because that's why I feel like the world has a lot of ego. It's because if we were still connected to the plants and Mother Nature and the animals and just the environment around us, I feel like the ego wouldn't have been able to grow as big as it has in the whole human psyche. And a lot of this has been going through my mind because it's like I can see with the whole censorship, it's almost like a repeat of history, because the churches did it. We're trying to censor, because it's like
the Inquisition. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just information tries to get censored. And I think the information that's getting censored is we're supposed to be connected to Mother Nature like we're connected to the internet. Like computers are connected to the internet, we're supposed to be connected to Mother Nature. And I think as a whole, that would, like everyone says, how do we bring enlightenment on the planet and help, the planet to grow to where it needs to be and to be where it should be? And I think it's like as simple as just going back to doing what we used to do, but with technology as well. Like going back to being connected with Mother Nature and then use technology. I think our issue is now we disconnected from Mother Nature and now we use technology. And it's like, it's almost like the technology would be the divine masculine and the Mother Nature would be the divine feminine. And I feel like you're supposed to combine these two, just like combining spirituality and science. It's like, I think that this is the way the reality is going. Because I've been fucking researching quantum physics lately. Like, I don't know, I've been on some crazy,
Don't you think that nature is technology?
Yeah, I think nature is like undiscovered technology.
Paradoxical, as above, so below type thing. It is you, it's not you, it's everything. Yeah. I kind of have, my DMT experiences have kind of initiated me into this, very mechanical, machine-like internet world. So yeah, that was something that I wanted to, talk to you about, because I know a lot of content creators also watch these podcasts. How the hell do you find the time to upload every word?
Well, to be honest, like I got
And
a
how do you
laptop right
balance
here.
that? Yeah.
Like, I got my phone right here. Like, and like literally, I'm uploading a video to Facebook right now. I think it stopped because I was doing something, but like, it's like I'm uploading on my phone right now, and then I uploaded this morning on BitChute from my computer because I uploaded it last night when I go to sleep. So basically, what I do is like, I feel like I always have a screen in front of me, even though I don't. Like, even though I don't pay attention to them as much as I should, like when I get a lot of messages built up, and like it just kind of gets overwhelming sometimes because really what I'm trying to do is like I'm uploading everywhere. I'm trying to everything I post on Facebook, I'm trying to post on Minds as well. Like, and I have trouble with that.
Yeah.
But it's like I've been doing pretty good, like trying to keep up with it. Like, because if I feel like if I can post it on Facebook, I could post it on Minds because they're similar websites, and if I could post it on YouTube, I could post it on BitChute because they're similar websites, and it's just that's why I have to have two computers. Like, this is my main one that I'm on right now, and it's just an all-in-one HP.
Yeah, I'm realizing real quick, I'm probably gonna have to get another computer or something. Like, if you're going to do this with multiple channels on multiple streaming platforms, and just do it again unapologetically, just do everything. Like, that's one thing that's really hard for me because it's just like I give up. You literally need a team, not for the content, but the uploading process.
Yeah, no, I definitely can see why people get a team. I can see why.
Damn.
It's so hectic, and that's why I have to have two, because my laptop usually runs really slow because I'm usually uploading on it. Or maybe I'll make, I started making memes, just quoting some of my videos and shit and posting them out everywhere. And like, do that on my laptop. And usually on here, I usually try to save for other things because I make beats. Like, I also make beats. So I make beats on this computer. And what's funny is I make beats on this computer, I record on that laptop, and it's like, so I just try to find a balance of balancing it all, but I find it hard to balance. I just find it that sometimes you just gotta step away from them, because in my life it's consumed my life almost. The deeper I got into recording myself and being a content creator, the deeper I got into always trying to record content. I mean, that's why I bring my phone with me when I go out on hikes now, because it's like I'll think to myself, well, maybe I'll think of something to say, because I free flow all my videos. Like, I don't ever write down any ideas. So it's like if I'm out in the woods and I look out in the sky and I'm like, hey, I think of something deep. If I don't have a phone, I'll be mad that I'm like, man, I just lost that thought and that thought's gone forever.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens to me. However, I used to bring my phone. Now what I do when I go hiking, because we go hiking every week because we have a hunting dog, so she needs to like go run, and there's no going around it, or else she will freak out and just keep on pacing back and forth. So what I do now is when I go hiking, I make my partner hold my phone because I don't want any of the electromagnetic like frequencies or anything on me, so I could like channel like the divine energy from like the forest. So I make him handle, because like he's not very sensitive to it. Like, he doesn't carry his cell phone. He has my cell phone. I'd be like, hey, could you turn on the cell phone? I need to like record like a waterfall or something for like background noises. And I try to do that too. I used to record a lot more, but like I try to be in the moment more. And it helps having a partner where I could just like be like, hey, give me my phone. But the only bad thing is when I'm in the forest and I'm trying to like record, I have my dog galloping in the freaking like leaves and crunching, and it's just like you hear her little bell, and I'm like, ugh. I don't think subscribers would want to hear that. Little things like that, because I am, if you guys don't really know a lot about me, I am a perfectionist. Like, I have OCD. And I grew up actually having OCD. And it just carries on through, like, the rest of my life. It, like, starts with me and, like, insecurities and trying to be perfect all the time. That was something that I had to really break away from, because I'm a Capricorn, if you don't really know. What's your sign?
Me too.
You're a Capricorn?
Yeah.
Shut up! Oh my god! What? Dude, really?
Yeah. That's dope.
We're both goats. That's crazy. Holy shit. Wow. Well, that makes me realize why we have a connection the way we do. Usually I have connections with Pisces and Capricorns. Pisces because my sister is a Pisces and we have a really strong psychic connection. And I feel like I balance them out in like Capricorns. It's so cool. My best friend was a Capricorn as well. So yeah, like I have very dark, negative energy sometimes.
Right.
And the thing is, like, doing YouTube, you can always like show what's like. People have to realize that, like, you know, these videos that you see of people, they can go through hell and back, and then just like go on their camera and just pretend that everything's okay. And for me, at least, like, I realize that like it's this illusion that we're trying to break. You know, like this almost being perfect is what is harming us, you know? So like for me, at least, it's my OCD started off with like numbers, which is really interesting. Like that's how my OCD is. So it would be in 2s, 4s, 6, 8. So I would have to wash my hands like 2, 4, 6, and it would be 200 times. Or like the light switch or something like that. It would go to cleaning. Then I'd be like cleaning all day, and like I'd be obsessively cleaning. Then it would go to my weight, and like I had anorexia and bulimia for years. So like my control issue is my OCD, and then it goes into my videos. So like it's ever. I totally understand what you're talking about. Control.
Right.
That's hard.
Man, it's just, I get what you mean, because I have this, as an artist, because like I feel like I was an artist, I was a musician way before anything in my life, and it's like, as an artist, I'm a perfectionist, and that's why I haven't made music in so long, because I'm just trying to make it perfect. It's like, that's what I used to do with my videos, like, because I don't edit my videos anymore, because I just stopped. I don't want to be, who cares? There's no such thing as perfect. Like I realized, like, because what's perfect to me is different than what's perfect to you. And, you know,
in my head, what's perfect?
I mean, most of the time, we don't even know in our own head what's perfect, because once we get to that perfect thing, we'll be like, oh man, it's not perfect enough.
Yeah, but I'm really a stickler. Like I'm that person that will be watching somebody's video from like an editor's perspective and like stuff like that. I'm like, I know what they did right there. I know what they did right there. I know what they're doing. But for me, at least, like making thumbnails are the hardest because I don't like to make thumbnails. I don't like
That's why I don't do it, because I don't like it, so I don't
do it. This is how I do it. I don't take a picture like a lot of other people. This is for all the content creators out there that want to do things in a very efficient way. Since I have been doing green screens, what I do is like I'll cut to like the very first frame of me smiling, and I will screenshot that, put down the resolution to the 1280 by 720 pixel, and then I'll just like put in a title, push up the saturation, and maybe that's it, like an emoji or something, you know, whatever. That's what I do, because like it seems so, you know, when you see people's thumbnails and you're like, oh my god, they really had to make that face and like probably take a million pictures. So what I do, like, because I kind of like think that's like ridiculous to have to do all that stuff. So what I do is like I'll go to the first frame, or I'll go to the frame where I'm expressing the most emotion and screenshot that, and like that'll be my thumbnail.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that for all the people that are doing this, like that want to make their lives easier, they don't want to have to make goofy faces in front of the camera.
BitChute has really helped me with focusing on that, because BitChute, the shitty part that I don't like is you have to have a thumbnail or you can't upload your video. And it's kind of made me want to have to do thumbnails, and that's because I've never done a thumbnail besides until BitChute.
Use I'll give you a few free apps to use. I use pixel art.
Okay.
You could use Paint. You could use a whole bunch of stuff. But I use pixel art because it's like free. And what I'll do is I'll just screenshot, like, again, either the first sequence, the first shot, or the first scene, or the scene that you're expressing the most emotion where you're like, or like whatever, and you're not doing it because like, and you're not judging yourself, and you're like, oh, I have to do this stupid face, whatever, and like it seems so like rehearsed and whatever. So what I'll do is like in action motion, like the most action that you've captured on film. That's what I screenshot. Put a title, whatever. You don't even have to do that. Pump up the volume of the saturation all the way up. I do it to about like I'd say 60% to like 70%, and like that'll be it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, that's a great way, I feel, to do thumbnails without like having to put
it's just such a pain in the ass for me because it's like it gets back to the whole having two computers working on this and that, uploading there and there, and thumbnail for this and that, and it starts getting like, holy shit, man! Like, because I'm also trying to work on documentaries, and then it's like, so editing all these documentaries together and doing all this, and it's like, then you got to do the thumbnail for it, and it really does get to a point where that's why I can see why people have teams, because it gets to the point where it's like, damn,
maybe we are like a collective team, like just here. Like, that's what I feel it always should have been, where people are just working side by side and be like, hey, I need this, or like, hey, you want to collab, or hey, let's do something together, or hey, let's do a documentary together, or, just like very supportive. And I feel like, again, when like we first started, I find that like our relationships were a lot more superficial, all of us. And like we just didn't have this deeper understanding of how we are all interconnected and how we are all here possibly to work together. Everybody forgets that. And I find like sometimes there are huge egos in the way, but like, again, you just realize, all right, maybe that person just doesn't get it yet. Like, they don't think that there's a war on consciousness. They don't think that there is algorithms that are being weaponized to target these smaller YouTubers. Like that's what I mean. Like it's kind of like those deeper realizations that I find people have to live and experience to understand and be like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe we need to be a collective. Maybe we need to be united instead of trying to divide and nitpick and belittle people and make people feel less than, or like something like that. But I find that this does humble, the community in general, which is a good thing, which I think they need.
Yeah.
As a collective, I think we all needed to be have a little bit more humility than we do. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying there when it comes to like the arts, because I'm a classically trained artist. I went to art school, and again, you can be working on a piece of artwork for years. And I did get inspiration from you recently. Your Who Gives a Fish? Who gives a fish? I say it's fish instead of fuck. But I say who gives a fish, what people think. And that's what actually inspired me to do my last video. Because the thing is with me, and I know with you probably too, with lucid dreams and like shamanic experiences and hypnagogic states, like I can just talk all the time. I don't know if people think I'm like showing off. I don't know if people think I'm lying. I don't know, but to me, it's so much easier to just put that out there than like put out stuff about, what's in my mind. And I feel like the reason for that was because like, again, there wasn't a lot of respect, or there was, I almost felt like, damn, people are using me as like a prop, or just like to, I had this one video, one podcast once, It was an interview, and this guy like wanted to do an interview with me, and I just realized that there was a whole bunch of dudes in the chat, and they're like, "Oh my god!" Like they weren't taking me seriously, you know. And it was just like, "Damn!" Like but that's real. Or like other YouTubers comparing me to their wives, or saying, "Oh, but I like a brunette," like things like that, and you're like, "You're supposed to be woke.
Right.
You have a conscious channel, and you're talking about enlightenment." And you're talking about consciousness, and here you are comparing me and like, oh, but I like brunettes, and like demeaning me and talking about me that way, and you're supposed to be woke.
I mean, this is the issue that, I mean, that's just an issue that really nobody talks about, right? I mean, this is issues that really go on, and I don't know. So many people think that it's okay to keep doing. It's just they never grow out of it because they're trying to hold an image of enlightenment
No, you know what
instead
it
of
is?
embody it.
Exactly. You know what it is? It's this old paradigm that we keep on talking about. It's the established order. It's mind control. It's institutionalized mind control. You know, a lot of these people came from, and again, it's this like idea of the suppression of the divine feminine, which a lot of people are like, no, divine feminine isn't suppressed. Like that's not a thing. I think the people who say that are Western women that don't think that they're oppressed because they don't really understand what's going on all around the world, and men. And like I think that's why like everybody's really ragging on this whole Me Too thing. It's like it's funny that like you know all these celebrities are talking about how it's happening in Hollywood, but I find that it happens all over. Like it happens to the woman that is, you know, 20 something or 30 something working at a restaurant. It happens to a waitress. You know, it happens to um, office people. It happens in tech. I have girlfriends that are in tech, and they're like, I'm a computer programmer, and I'm a head of this company, and I work side by side with guys, and because I'm a girl that looks young, they're like, oh, sweetie, it's okay, and like they talk down to her. And she's just like, I don't get it. I'm his superior. Why does he think he could talk down to me?
Right.
So
I really think that I really think that's a serious issue. It's the divine masculine. That's just it, or what we call the ego. But I think, you know, it's like we call that the ego, but the ego can creep in, you know, and it's just people don't see. I just made this video today. Like I was talking about how people don't see what they do, right? It's almost
yes.
like you don't see or realize that that's causing this person harm, or you know, because maybe in their mind they're thinking they're doing nothing wrong,
Exactly.
but that's because they're judging it from their own egotistical perspective instead of looking at it from the whole perspective.
And here's the thing: how can you claim that you are enlightened when you only understand your perspective,
Right?
And not the whole? And I feel like a lot of guys feel like, oh, I can get up here and like talk about this and like belittle women and you know all of these things and be like, oh, that's cute, or like just dismissive. Anybody that's dismissive, um, anybody that can't express love freely. You know, like I watch out for these people because I know that either they've been bullied or they are suppressing their own divine feminine within themselves. I find a lot of Christian people, in particular, they always demean women. But this is everywhere. This is in all the Abrahamic religions. I'm not just picking on Christians.
Right.
This is all the Abrahamic religions. This is Southeast Asia. This is Africa. This is the South American communities, the Caribbean, the islands, all of that. It's all about the hyper exploitation and perversion of the divine feminine. So I mean, it's everywhere, and it's something that again, like people get mad when they're like, "Are you a feminist?" And I'm like, "No, I'm about equality," because there is no equality because I feel it,
Yeah.
and I want my sisters and possibly children in the future to be able to express themselves freely without having to worry about being judged, or being ridiculed just because they have a vagina. Like, it gets really deep. I was born, or my name, I was named after my aunt Samina, and she died because of a violent crime, because she was a woman. So I think that's why I am so fiery about this topic, because I've seen it happen. Um, Here, like, who are the women that like have the least voice, and they're usually women of color. Any women of color that are being exploited, or they're, they just have this perception of themselves, and I just wanted to be able to elevate the perception of women, and to not just think that they're just these objects.
Right.
you
Because
know, I'm sorry.
honestly, it's like we're supposed to, I feel like, have a balance. And I also feel like the divine masculine is supposed to almost protect the divine feminine instead of taking over. Because, I mean, if you look back in caveman history, I mean, that's what happened in the beginning. The women, I guess that's where a lot of stereotypes happen from, is because if you look back in history, you can see that women were more, I guess, taking care of the children and
Mm-hmm.
cooking and, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the men had to literally protect the women and children from the lions, tigers, and bears. Like, there was, like, in caveman stages in the beginning of human civilization,
Mm-hmm.
men had to be more dominant and masculine and protective.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like over time, men have lost the protectiveness, but we kept the dominant. And and now it's like we have nothing to protect for besides our own ego.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, I was raised by a woman. So, like, my mom raised me. She was like a single mom, and I was in a household with women, and I also have a daughter, and
Yeah.
I was a single. I was a stay-at-home dad with her, and like, so I've been around women and feminine energy my whole entire life. So, so I can see all that side. I just know a lot of stories my mom would tell me about it. Her grandma, like, so my great grandmother lived in the same household as me, and she would tell me stories when she was a little girl, and like the stories that she would say were horrible, because I mean that was my great grandma, so that was in a time where it was just bad. It was really bad to be a woman, but it was really bad to be black at the same
Yeah.
time, and she was both. So, like, she just had to deal with both that and just the normal things. But I remember her just telling me these stories, and as a kid, it just put into perspective for me that it's just the reality that nobody really wants to look at, the type of shit they want to sweep under the rug type shit. But it's like women have been suppressed just as much as the black race, and honestly, I mean, women have probably been suppressed a lot longer than the black race, because this has been happening since, I mean, Christianity, even, like, as fucked up as it sounds, like, like you said earlier, like, it's not that you're picking on Christianity. It's just in the Bible itself, it's like downing women. Like, in these religious texts, it's downing women, and to me, that's what makes no sense, because that's why I never really got caught up in following religions, because I can see that if there's nothing about the divine feminine, if they're not worshiping the divine feminine, then it's probably not real. It's probably not worth my time, because I know that it's it's the ego trying to take over. It's the ego, it's the masculine trying to stay dominant, it's trying to stay in control. And I feel like that happens. I mean, humans have been brainwashed for a long time, but women have been brainwashed longer than men, because men were the ones that were trying to brainwash the women in the first place to be just, and I don't know, this is a long history that's been going on.
Thing. Like, okay, so we're going to talk about the divine feminine, we're going to talk about women of color, all these things. So, okay, so for me at least, I see that there is this almost like mental brainwashing that women go through in society and culture. And I find that
no matter where you are, okay? It could be in the South, it could be in the East, it could be in the West, anywhere in the world. There's always this idea, um, and I think it's more prevalent in the Spanish communities, in the Black communities, in the Southeast Asian communities, in the Middle Eastern communities, and I don't know about white people, but they're just white. Um, but a lot of this programming comes from, and it was in me too. It was instilled in me too until I had to literally reformat myself, reprogram myself. It was that your beauty will secure your socioeconomic status. And this is, again, institutionalized through like culture and society. So in my community, in the Arab community, in the Pakistani community, Indian community, women will be betrothed. So they will have a courtship, and somebody will come and they will want to marry her. And most of the women will be brainwashed to think that the whiter you are, the more money you have, the more status you have, the more luxurious your life will be. The more beautiful you are, which again is equated to the color of your skin, the lighter you are, the lighter your hair, the more exotic you are, the lighter features you have, you will be rich. This is just a thing that nobody talks about. And it's why women act the way they do. Because we see it in my own culture, like my and this is why I say there's so much trauma, there's so much healing that needs to be done. And a lot of people say, well, oh, you're being a victim. Or no, this is multi-generational, epigenetic trauma passed down through the DNA by mother to child. And this is why whole populations are put under duress and control and trauma to mold a society. This is true trauma-based mind control. People think that it's just some celebrities, and you got people, you've got the blind freaking leading the blind, and they're like trying to ask questions online. They don't know how the hell mind control is. The only thing mind control is just like a celebrity or a military person. No, it's your cop. It's your institutions. It's your political institutions. It's your religious institutions. It's your school programs. It's your social programs. It's your media. It's your alternative media sometimes, and you don't even know it. Like there's so much. Mind control is just something that I could just go into.
Yeah.
And again, it's just like, I don't read anybody's stuff. This is just completely, again, this divine connection that you have, that you just like know what the hell's going on. So yeah, no, I saw within my community, again, going back to the women, my stepmother had to get married to whoever her family said to. She had no choice. And if she didn't act the way people wanted her to act, she would get acid thrown in her face. Or she would get kerosene thrown on her and be threatened with being burned alive. Can you imagine living like that and going through that like every day, every week? Like this is normal in some places of the world. And this is infighting, and this is within the family. The woman I was named after, Samina, she was killed by her stepchildren because they didn't want to share the wealth, because she married a very wealthy man, because her mother said, you're beautiful, again, this programming, you are beautiful, marry a rich man. And that's the only thing she wanted to do. So she found herself a rich man, and when she was 9 months pregnant, they killed her, and they killed the baby. And because they had a lot of money, because money talks, and she was a woman, and she didn't matter, she was never vindicated. And that's exactly why my father came to this country. And he forgot. You forgot.
Dude, that's...
Yeah, man. And like, again, you see this all the time. My cousin, beautiful girl, didn't care about money, didn't care about status, didn't care about all these things. Her family found her a 25, a 60-year-old man, 55-year-old man. Come, he's abroad. He's going to have a better life for you. He's going to, you know, take you to Europe. This is selling your daughter. And this is cultural. And especially in the Islamic community, in Hinduism, all of these, this is institutionalized. It's just become a thing. And like I see like very popular YouTubers with like millions and millions of followers, and there are these like Indian, South Asian channels, and it's all about how to bleach your skin, how to, you know, get skin whiter, you know, and it's every single video. And these are millions of girls subscribing to this, millions of girls, you know, hurting themselves. Why? To get a richer husband, to get, you know, just this dream. And it's so sad. And this is why you see why we are the way we are, why children are the way they are, why women have these morals, because it's ingrained within them. It's been programmed within them. And literally the last time I did DMT, I was deprogramming myself, you know, and when you're deprogramming yourself and you're realizing, oh, I'm under mind control. Oh my God, this was passed down to me. My mother is, my grandmother is, my great-grandmother was. Holy shit, this is why society is destructing itself. This is why our children are being born into pain and suffering, you know, because we just don't have the right values, or, you know, we put superficial values ahead of morality and integrity and just truth and love, you know. So yeah, you see even in the Brazilian culture, women are very demeaned. It's all about hypersexuality, hyper exploitation. And, you know, they do this to basically ruin populations, indigenous cultures. You know, look at what happened to the Native American culture. A lot of them, because of the trauma, had developed severe alcoholism, and because they were never really drinking alcohol like that. But they, you know, they had severe addictive personalities. And it's again like the Ouroboros, you know, we're definitely hurting ourselves, and all cultures being destroyed and dismantled.
Yeah,
Sure.
no, I can see it too, because I can definitely see it's been happening so long that we can't even see it's happening, because it happened so long ago and we're just stuck in it. Most people are just so stuck in it that they don't know when it started. We don't know when it ends. We don't know when it began. But like, it's just this issue is like, the brainwashing issue is like so much deeper than we realize. Because, you know, in the beginning, like I used to say, like I'm like breaking myself out of the matrix. Like I used to think that, you know, psychedelics were like breaking me out of the matrix type shit. But like when you get out of the matrix, you can see just how deep the brainwashing goes. Because it's like, how far out of the matrix are you type shit, where it's like you can get out of the matrix, but you're really still in the matrix a little bit, because you could still be confined to the little bit of brainwashing that you had when you were younger. I mean, our whole lives we've been brainwashed to be what we think we are.
Yes.
You know, it's like I made a video recently about the Black community, and I knew it would probably stir up the pot, and like I'm okay with stirring up the pot, but it's like, it's just, I wanted to talk about reality, because reality is, you know, a lot of the Black culture doesn't even know how to act. Like, we think that acting like a thug and whatever is being Black, but that's the brainwashing that's come over us, because being Black is not about that. That didn't happen. That didn't start until Black people came to America and got taken over.
That was also an artificial culture. That was part of the corporate agenda. That was marketing. That was PR. That was again not real. I find that it was like, again, all of these cultures that are being given to people back are these artificial ones, like the Bollywood culture. Bollywood is so not Indian culture. You know, it's nothing like it. You know. But people are so brainwashed by it that they think that this is their culture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Keep
No,
on going.
you're good. You're good.
No,
That's a great
I really wanted to hear what you had to say.
No, because that was a great point, though, because it does put into the like with the whole black community, it's just it pulls into the fact with the music, right? Because music brainwashes us. What we watch brainwashes us. What we see. So it's like when a little girl sees a woman or sees these women on TV act in certain ways in these music videos, that's what they think they are. That's what they think women are. It's the same thing with the black community. When they see somebody in the black community or they see somebody on TV acting a certain way, and it's almost like the mass media is pushing this, or the record companies, these big corporations, all of this, they're pushing that type of music because as a record company, you could literally choose and pick and choose what music you want. So if they wanted, the big corporations could literally end the rap music we know today and change it into whatever they want because they're in charge of what gets put out. Now, there's a little difference now because we have the internet and YouTube and all that. But even the internet and YouTube, and Google, they're still becoming the same thing, censoring certain things and putting out a certain agenda. Where it's like now on Google, if you watch certain type of videos, you'll get certain type of ads, sent to you, where you only see those certain type of ads because you watch those certain type of videos. And it's just a constant brainwashing. We're constantly brainwashing ourselves all day long. Yeah. Every time you, I don't know, the people you hang out with, to the things you watch, to the things you talk about, to the music you listen to. These are all systems put in place to keep us under brainwashing because these are things that have been used since the beginning. Music has been used to brainwash the mass since the beginning. TV, radio, it's all been used to keep certain information flowing through our heads, but other information not. To keep us having their ideas flowing through our heads so we can't think of our own ideas. Because if all you see is rap music videos and black people acting a certain way. You see movies where every black guy in a movie is holding the gun like this, and it's just everywhere you see it's like that, And when you see that and that's all you consume, that's what you're going to think you are, and you're not going to have time to think, well, that's not how black people act, because you're going to think, I always see a black person acting this way in a movie. I always see a female acting this way in a movie. I always see it's like a Hispanic eating this type of food in a movie. These are all stereotypes that are keeping us under control to keep us separated, honestly, because it's all the separation thing. It's a separation issue. It's the fact that if we actually thought to ourselves, we're no different than one another. The most different thing we have on this planet from human beings is men and women. But, that's literally the most different we get. But at the same time, men and women aren't that different from each other. We're just polar opposites in a way. It's like the yin and the yang. It's how the yin, or it's how one of them has a little bit of black in it, the other one has a little bit of white in it. It's like a little bit of dark, a little bit of light. It's both. I think men and women are supposed to be balanced like that. But there's this whole, we're just so brainwashed into what we think we are because that's what they want us to think we are. So we don't have time to think about what we really are. Or to even talk about what we really, because that starts with just talking about it, questioning it, realizing fuck, man, I've been brainwashed, fuck, and then doing something about it, and then.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. Hold on, let me just. You said you were born Christmas Day.
Yeah, December 25th, 1993. I was
born December 24th.
Yo, that's fucking awesome. Yo, that's dope as shit.
Crazy! Oh my god, we really are meant to do some shit here on Earth. Damn.
Right.
Yeah, that puts everything into perspective. Wow. No wonder we have such a connection.
Right.
Yeah, and we have such similar lives. And I feel that's the reason why I just feel the need to just express myself completely and not censor and but sometimes I realize, all right, that's not a good thing. Sometimes you have to think things clearly and not just fly off the handle.
That's my issue sometimes, right? Because with that video that I made, I don't give a fuck. I was I almost re-recorded that because I was like, damn.
But I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you didn't because that gave me the power, and I was just like, fuck everything.
Weird. I'm glad that worked like that.
Yeah, no,
I was honestly literally about to delete it because I just didn't. I was like, man, I feel like I was like too real in that shit, and I was like, dude, maybe I should calm down a little bit. I just got too into what I was saying, and I was like, fuck it.
I don't think that there is being too real, except like maybe when you're in a situation like me where you should kind of watch what you say around people. But like, I don't know, like I kind of feel like truth is truth. So if you deny truth, then it's just like your problem.
Right. That's your problem, not mine type shit. Because at least you're just being truth. You're just being real. And as long as you're not intentionally trying to be mean, you know, like that's a different story. But if it's like, if you're just being real, that's like, because I do catch myself sometimes, like, I don't know, like trying to like maybe coming off a little too rude because I'm like trying to prove a point, and it's like, okay, like I gotta step back and be like,
yeah, I mean, I get that, but like I've learned to just realize, like, no, the best videos are the ones where you're just like, should I put it up? Should I not put it up? You know, like the best videos are the ones where you put it up and you lose a whole bunch of subscribers because they were subscribed to you for all the fucking wrong reasons anyway.
Right.
And like, I'm like, bye. You can't take the realness.
Well, shit. If you can't accept the real me, it's like, yeah, you might as well. You know, because I've seen that too. I mean, it happened when my content changed from just being strictly about, you know, DMT and psychedelics to being, you know, more broad spectrum of topics of just my journey itself. Like, it's just started documenting the journey itself.
Because some people find it egoic. Some people, oh, why are you always talking about you? And I'm like, my experience isn't all that unique, and maybe somebody could relate.
Right.
Yeah, it's the people that I think that they're unique that don't realize that. I mean, it's a paradox thing that you have to kind of keep on, you know, dealing with. One of my subscribers on my last video that was inspired by you, actually, they were talking about how they wanted to get into spiritual work and they wanted to share their story, and they were afraid of the rejection and the shame and the humiliation they might find when doing this. And they said that they would never tell their family members or anybody that they're doing this. But I want to just tell people, it's the internet. People will find you. I've had ex-boyfriends find me, and I'm like, oh my God.
It happens to me too, though. Like, even though I try my hardest, people
not to
still
tell
find
anybody.
me.
I feel you. Same shit happens to me. Like, everybody starts finding you because it's just like you are connected with your social media and like maybe a Facebook or an Instagram, and it's just like all of my old friends are like trying to add me, and then they click on my like video link in my like description, and they're like, wow, okay. This is a completely different Samina than I've ever experienced. And then, like, so, like, that's the thing. Like, it's, people are going to find you, whether you like it or not, so you kind of have to deal with it.
Yeah, just be you, you know, and, like, I mean, because I tried for the longest, like, and I still kind of try, you know, to keep my content away from personal, I don't know, family or whatever, but it's like, you know, it works for the most part, but there's some times where it doesn't. And then I get that thing where it's like I had a cousin basically disown me in a way.
What?
Like my cousin, and it's funny because me and her were like, we were really close, like growing up. You know, we were like more like brother and sister than cousins. And like, yeah, now she doesn't speak to me at all. She doesn't. She blocked me on Facebook.
I have a few cousins that don't want to talk to me because they think that I'm too out there too. But you know what I say? Go fuck yourself, because you don't even know yourself.
Right, because I mean, this is just the real me, the real authentic self, and I feel like you should be able to accept me because I'm not. It's not like I'm trying to force these things down your throat or something. You know, I'm not like. It's just accept me for who I am, and you know, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I've had a few people that are just like, don't say that, don't do that, and I'm just like, no. I'm not going to listen to you, you know, because what you think of making it is. Like, I told you that story with my grandma, and I'm like, you would rather me be a insta-ho than an internet philosopher?
And well, it's probably because in her mind she's thinking like, look at all these Instagram models, like look at all their followers, look at all their comments and likes, like you could be doing that.
You would rather me be a fucking YouTube beauty guru than a fucking, or like a fitness girl, rather than fucking like a psychedelic YouTuber. Like, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy. But like, it's a thing that like we kind of
that goes back to the brainwashing issue, where it's like a lot of people think, you know, in her mind that's her definition of success, right? That's like, well, I want my granddaughter to be successful, and then that could be like, I'm proud. She'd be like, I don't know, that's the weird way about reality, that our parents' version of success, or our parents' version of what is good for us, or our grandparents' version of what's good for us, it's usually not accurate because they're only judging it from their brainwashed perspective. You know, a lot of times they haven't even looked at themselves in the mirror enough to even tell us what we should be doing with our life.
Yes, that's exactly what I tell everyone that doesn't realize that, like, they're still under mind control. You know, everything is mind control. Everything is to control your mind. A war on consciousness. It's real. It's a war for your mind. It's absolutely real. If you do not see it, then you are part of the problem. Most probably, because you're in this fake la la land, or like this fake matrix, which everybody thinks that there's like a fake matrix that's happening right now, but we've already been living in the illusion. And I think you're the only one that could get like real deep into this like shamanic realms, because for me at least, people don't understand usually what breaking the illusion is. Breaking the illusion would be no more matrix. So there would be no more binary. There would be no more you. There would be no more me. There would be no more experience.
Complete loss of body, self, physical reality to the next dimension type shit.
Yeah, so it almost feels like if God were bored, God would have amnesia and split himself into infinity and have this role-playing game and just pretend and forget.
And play. And honestly, I love the way you just said that, because it puts it in perspective. That's almost like, that's what the cosmic joke is. That's why it's a cosmic joke and not a cosmic seriousness, because it's just play. We take it so serious because I can see why, though. I mean, there's a war on consciousness and trying to keep us or whatever, but it's like maybe the war is just play and we just take it too seriously.
That's something to think about. That's super outside of the box.
I like to stay outside the box.
Yes. You see, like that's what I love.
Gotta ask somebody else.
Damn. Yeah, so like I was saying, like destroying the illusion, like what does that mean? That means like no more fun, no more experience, no more any of this. I think life just, it seems like it was hijacked by something, and that could be the ego, the reptilian mind, fight or flight. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that there are other cosmic players involved? Do you think there are other extraterrestrials? Or do you think it's just this humanity and the perversion of humanity?
No, I do think that from my experiences with psychedelics, and I've met a lot of entities and beings through psychedelics, I do think that I always, like I just said this last night, I think that they're helping me through life. I think the light beings help us through life as like guidance. You know, they kind of guide us if we need whatever, or maybe possibly the universe or Mother Nature can remove obstacles out of your life or things like that. But at the same time, if something is conspiring to help you, there might be something conspiring to not help you, to keep you not aware, because it is a human issue, but I think humans don't understand what humans are. I don't think we understand what we are.
Yes.
Like, I really genuinely think that we are fifth dimensional beings. And if we're fifth dimensional beings, I mean, but we're only observing the third dimension, that means there's other dimensions that we can't observe right now that are going on. And in those other dimensions, there are possibly other beings. Because I do believe that there's something that has been trying to keep us asleep. And it's just, I don't know. Like, me and my friend Fi always bounce back ideas like, is it the cosmic joke? Meaning, like, is it just God playing with himself, making himself believe that it's evil, but there is no evil. He's just having fun with himself, bouncing back and forth between himself, you know, like, split himself up and having fun. Or it literally could be, like, we talk about how the creator could have split himself up and it's like male and female, and the male is out of whack. And like, it's just like when you get in art, like, there's a lot of men nowadays that kind of get with women, right? And then they let's say they have a wife, and I've seen it with my grandparents, you know, because they grew up in the older times. So I've seen it with my grandparents that the man would try to dominate the relationship, and maybe that's happening on a mass scale. Maybe, you know, the microcosm and the macrocosm are reflections of each other. So maybe what we're doing down here is what's really happening up there, you know, and
we're being dominated.
Where the male ego is just trying to be dominant, and that's why we think the ego is evil and we got to kill the ego. And I don't think we got to kill it, because then that's killing ourselves. That's killing part of ourselves.
Well, yeah, exactly. And we were talking about when we recorded this, but it didn't get recorded. We were talking about the ego and the spiritual community, and I do want to touch upon that slightly again. Just a little bit more tact this time on both of our parts, because we were just ripping into that shit before.
Right.
Well, for me at least, when I went to India, I saw that all religions are institutions that have been perverting and exploiting spirituality since millennia. Like, that's just what's been going on here. And I traveled like everywhere trying to find myself, and I realized that it was just this industry, you know. So just keep that in mind. All spirituality comes from within, comes from a divine connection with you and source energy, or the all, or whatever that is. And no guru, no teacher, no priest, no YouTuber can show you that other than yourself. So how do you balance knowing that spirituality is an industry, and when you get to a certain point, you get managers, and managers are handlers. Handlers are MK Ultra handlers. That's what they do. They're here to give you the script, to control you, to control your content. And then there are world speaking tours and book tours and selling things, and just this industry of selling you this idea of a lifestyle, of selling you this image, of selling you, like, again, this like idea of what spirituality is. And a lot of the times when they sell it to you, they'll make you feel less than because you are not on some beach in Thailand, you know, or that you don't have enough money to live that lifestyle. And a lot of this spiritual lifestyle that they are selling you really kind of digs into the poor and the underclasses and puts this elitist spin on what spirituality is. You know, like, you are spiritual if you can afford this yoga retreat, or lecture or seminar or say, you are only spiritual if you can eat raw, vegan, alkaline food. Say if you don't have that money in the bank to even afford that, or say if you're living in the hood or the ghetto and you can't even have access to that. How do you feel about what spirituality has become and gurus and stuff like that?
Well, I can definitely see that it's becoming almost like a stereotype, which kind of sucks because if you don't fit in that stereotype, it almost makes it seem like you're not spiritual.
Yes.
And I balance with this with myself where it's like I have I'm trying to relaunch my herbal business and I'm trying to make money on the path, but it's also I can see too many people use it as like they need the lifestyle more than they actually live the spirituality. Mm-hmm. It's almost like you have to, like you said, like you have to be vegan, like you have to be this or that, like and this other thing, me and my friends, we kind of call ourselves modern day shamans, but there's so many people that say, well, you can't be a shaman because you've never gone to a retreat in Peru before, and you've never learned from the shaman, and and it's like, well, even
that's
the
bullshit,
shaman.
By the way, that's total garbage nonsense. By the way, because
right.
I know a self-taught shaman.
No, right, because even the shaman itself, like a shaman, the guru, it doesn't matter. Like it's not the man that makes spirituality. Mm-hmm. Or the woman shaman, it's not that. It's not the person that makes spirituality. It's the spirituality itself. It's the direct contact with it. And, I just think I can tell that spirituality is becoming a mixed thing, right? Because all the spiritual teachings are blending together into what we call spirituality. And there's so many spiritual people that say, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, well, all your spiritual beliefs, kind of the same thing religious people have. Right. It's like you said, last time we talked, it is like an institution still.
Yes.
And it's becoming a certain way of life. Like you have to be this way to be spiritual. You can't get mad or you're not spiritual.
Yeah.
You have to be in this peace, loving, happiness state all the time to be spiritual. And I think spirituality is being real. And being real and connecting directly with the spirituality itself. Because that's why I don't really follow religious views. Even though when I was a kid, from pre-K to third grade, I was in a Catholic school. Mm-hmm. So like from pre-K to third grade, I was drilled religion. Yeah. Like I was drilled religion as a little kid, and into we went to church every time in school, and I was drilled religion. So I knew a spirituality basis, when I was young. I would judge spirituality, and I researched spirituality. I researched this Buddhism, Hinduism, shamanism was the last spirituality thing I researched. And then after shamanism, I started thinking, well, this seems more legit because they talk about the direct contact. They talk about how, well, if you don't believe the shaman, just drink the ayahuasca with him, basically. Mm-hmm. Where it's like the shaman will show you. Unlike a lot of spiritual gurus or spiritual YouTubers nowadays, because gurus and shamans are becoming YouTubers now, and it's where it's like, it's almost like they're trying to sell their perspective instead of just.
And a lot of the times,
and they're worried about the man. They're worried about like themselves instead of the message itself, the spirituality itself. They want to say, "I brought this to spirituality."
You just said it. You just said exactly what I was thinking. So never mind. It becomes the same institutionalized hierarchy. So, like, that's what it is. Like, some people think, oh, I'm New Age, or, it's the same thing. Like, you have the same basic concepts of a man getting this download and coming here to save the world and all of that stuff. So it becomes very biblical again.
Yeah, like the hero's journey, basically. Yeah. It's like...
Yeah, exactly. I totally feel you, man.
But I think it's biblical because I think the biblical stories are I think that's humans. Mm-hmm. I think humans are spiritual creatures, and we all have the capability to be the Buddha. We can be the shaman. We can be the guru. We could be these things. We don't have to, and to be these things, we don't necessarily have to learn from them. You don't have to learn from a guru to be a guru. You don't have to learn from a shaman to be a shaman, and you don't have to learn from somebody spiritual to become spiritual. You just have to find your own spirituality, whether it's meditation, psychedelics. You know, I do think there's an issue with. I hate to say, but I do think there's an issue with the way shamanism is looked at today, and like the gurus, you know, where it's like they're put on this high pedestal where they're almost like gods in the flesh.
Yes.
But people forget to think that the people that are worshiping these gurus, the worshipers, those we're all God in the flesh.
Yes.
You know, there's no different from that guru and you.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I find that, like, it's always implied, you know, like, people will always imply that they are better than you. There's always a savior and messiah complex. Again, we're living in a binary star system. Black and white, sun and moon, male and female, savior, messiah. That's why I kind of just, like, always say, don't follow me, because a lot of the responsibility and again, like, I don't think that's the message, you know, and I find a lot of people just, like, again, stringing them along, and it's just, if you realize if you've done this enough, and I'm pretty sure you and I have been doing this around the same time, you realize that all YouTube is an industry, and marketing, and PR, and self-promotion, and that honestly is what had turned me off so much from, like, doing videos, because I was just so grossed out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the only way you will make it is if you sell out. Not the only way, but a very easy way is if you
It's the easy,
out.
quick way.
The quickest way is to sell out and to sell your soul. What is selling your soul but having a price tag on your silence or your complicitness, or, you know, you selling a lifestyle or selling an idea. And I find that a lot of these people online are very narcissistic and very egoic. And I find a lot of people following, and they'll be like, what do you think of this person? What do you think about that person? And I'm just, like, not saying anything, because I'm like, a human is a human, and a human is multidimensional, and a human has good and evil within them. So what do you think?
That's real.
But yeah, I totally agree. At the same time, people have been asking me, do I give away my artwork for free? And I'm like, no, hell no. Like, we're still living in the Matrix. We still have to get our hands dirty. We're still controlled by the fiat money system. So, you know, we still have to survive unless you're dead to the world. The only reason, or the only way I find to escape the Matrix is to either have a psychedelic experience, a shamanic experience, or to die. And even after that, you don't know if you don't go into another matrix or something else, or like inside your mind or somewhere in a computer system, you know, or back to the quantum computer.
Right.
You don't know. Like, and I find that these ETs, they are also like programs, you know, and some of them seem to be ancestors. Some of them seem to be inside of our DNA. Some of them seem to be technology. But yeah, really interesting stuff.
I get what you mean by some of them seem to be ancestors, because I just made a video yesterday about the beings, and
are there?
And
have you ever contacted any not so nice entities?
Yes and no. Through my DMT travels, I learned how to I forget what, so I watched somebody's video talk about, I think it was a shaman talking about how to, when he's diving into ayahuasca, into the spirit world, he's able to push away the evil spirits. And he said he pushes them away by love. So I literally watched that, and I literally applied that to my trips. So every time I go into an experience and there's beings there, I know that, like, this is just the spirit world. So just like on planet Earth, there are good humans and bad humans. There are good light beings and bad light beings. It's not necessarily good and bad. It's just they might be angry and sad, you know. And
opposite side of the polarities.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I've just learned how if I feel, because I'll feel it before I see it. So like if I'm in that space, in the psychedelic space, if I feel an energy coming towards me or trying to make its way towards me, you know, then I'll try to just radiate love. I'll repeat in my head, I love you. I love you. And like literally, like I'll just talk to it. And if I do get to the point where seeing these beings, sometimes it feels like when you look at a being that's sad or angry or evil or what we perceive as evil, because really there's no such thing as evil, it's just lack of love. There's no such thing as dark, there's just lack of light. So really
lack
what
of
it
love
is
or lack of empathy, I think. I think that's
because what I think it is with these light beings, I can just see that they just need love. So either this is what I do. If they're evil, they're trying to bring my energy down. Maybe I can look at them in the psychedelic space and it makes me want to cry. It makes me feel pain or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just sit there and look at them like, that's why you're so mad, because you feel this pain all the time.
Yeah.
And then I literally I love it's empathy. It's having empathy for these beings. And it's like and what's crazy is a DMT trip is so wild because this is all in a matter of 10 minutes. And like all of a sudden you're on your couch and 1 minute you're talking to this being and you care about it because you get the gist that they care about you because you think, like I almost get the idea that they were human at one point. Like they're our ancestors and that's why they care about us. Because why else would these alien-like beings that are so much more advanced than humans, why would they give a shit about little monkeys like us unless they were little monkeys like us at one point? And that's why they can sympathize and understand what we are, and because they were it at one point. So I mean, I just really have come after like many DMT trips, after just many, so much contact with these beings. It's like every time I do DMT, I'm like in contact with these beings, and you know, and it's like I've just learned to be like, okay, some of them are sad. If I was to die, if I was to get murdered in whatever, then if I go to the light dimension, another dimension, I'm probably going to be sad too. I'll probably be sad like, fuck, man, like I didn't want to go now. It's not my time and all this other shit. And you could probably radiate that energy inside of that dimension and be stuck in that energy of regret. And I think that's what hell is, regret. And that's... And I just try to have empathy for these beings and realize, well, if they care about us, we got to care about them.
Yeah, I met a demonic entity once, and was actually twice. One, I was blacked out after giving someone DMT, and again, my bad. Never, ever, 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 ever mix alcohol and psychedelics. Never. Even if you're just going to do it in the morning and then forget about it, and then a few hours pass by, 10 hours pass by, and you're like, hey, let's go for a drink. Don't fucking do that. Because then you will get... I didn't even drink a lot. I blacked out. And I was possessed. Like, not possessed. Like, I just didn't... Like, I wasn't... I was babbling. And, like, my friend was like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And I was, oh, wow. And I was fighting with someone, and I didn't even remember it. And this, again, never mix alcohol with psychedelics. That was my first demonic presence that I've felt. And that can happen. The second was or the first one or a second one, was seeing a huge blue head with tentacles. That was attached to my third eye. I smudged and, you know, it went away. And the third time was during an alchemical process, and I almost died. There was a fire. And I think in that fight or flight, I had fear, I had panic. And I think that's that spirit that you were talking about of after, like right when you're about to die, and that spirit is almost like encapsulated into this like time space or whatever, or this area. So what I think was either there was a demonic presence or it was my fear of death, of dying, and like I was about to die. There was no other option. Time stopped. And in 1 second, I put out the fire without thinking, complete intuition. And I went back in because I felt something watching me or staring at me, which is a sign that you have something in your house. I don't know whether it was me and my fear or a demonic presence, but when I smudged there, the fear just went right into me, right past me and out the door. So that actually happened.
I definitely think that they use fear against us. That's why in that light dimension, like I've watched a lot of shamans talk about their experiences when I was diving deep with DMT, because even though I know DMT is a little different, I understand it's the same thing the shamans are drinking. It's just a different way of ingesting it. So it's like the way they look at it, that it's literally just, they honestly just believe it's the spirit world, and they talk about like it's normal life. Like, of course it's the spirit world, of course there's other beings, and of course there are ancestors, and of course it's just normal life to them. And like, I tried to embody that, you know, with my deep travels with DMT, and just be like, well, it's just normal life. It's normal that there's going to be evil in there, but the way you take care of the evil is you show the evil love. Either the demonic energies will run away from you because you're too powerful. Love is the most powerful energy in the fucking universe. So no demon can fuck with it. No, once you realize you're unfuckwithable and you are the most powerful light there can be, no dark can fuck with you unless they want to be light. And then they'll come your way, and maybe you can brighten them up, and maybe not make them a demon anymore. Maybe not make them evil anymore. You know, and some of these entities might not be human. But I still think that, just like with Mother Ayahuasca, I've met Mother Ayahuasca so many times in my DMT travels that it's almost like there's this divine feminine being that has my back no matter what. So when I'm in these spaces, it's like I know that nothing can happen to me unless I fear. So I just try to love. And I literally started, in the beginning, it was so hard. But that's why I repeated in my head, I love you, I love you, I love you, to the point where you lose your mind for a second. Like you're in the DMT trip, and it's almost like you lose your mind because you're just repeating, I love you, and then it's going so fast, and then it's almost like your mind splits apart, and it's like you stop saying I love you, but you're still saying it because it's like echoing in the light dimension.
Oh my God, I got into I'm so sorry to cut you off, but it was a conversation that was started by you, that like I had this endogenous DMT release the other day when I was talking to my partner about, you know, like we said, God splitting up, or source energy if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God. This energy that was split, and it feels like you're talking to an echo. It's just an echo of you, and people are just an echo of you. And they're echoes on both sides of the polarities. So they could be an echo of the extremely good, of the extremely bad, and everything in between. And yeah, that like just catapulted me into like this extreme DMT space where it just was like, okay, we have to change the topic, because that is where it gets, like, when people talk enlightenment, people talk about trying to understand life outside of the matrix, outside of everything. And once you get to that point, you go into a psychosis, or you become a little, like, it's just like a mind flip or something.
I know what's interesting. You said the psychosis. Me and my friend Fi we had this L experience like 2 weeks ago.
Talk about your experiences and talk about this.
Well, because I really wanted to, because you just brought to my attention. So we called it the isness. Okay, so we called it the isness because we realized what the psychosis is. The psychosis is being trapped in the isness, being trapped in what we really are. You know, people, you know, would judge the psychosis as, oh, they kind of lost their mind. No, that's what enlightenment looks like. We're just scared of true enlightenment. We're scared because that's what it really looks like. When you are completely out of the matrix, you're in that isness. You're in that psychosis. You're in that state of mind where it's just, it was just interesting because we got to look at it from a perspective. We came back, obviously, when the L wore off, but we realized we could have not. Yes. It was like a choice. It was like and it was so weird that like we realized at that point that psychosis is a choice. Yes. But at the same time, it's not. But it's just the isness, man.
Yes,
like,
that's exactly what it is. That's why I did a video on it, because I wanted to tell everybody this is an occult initiation. That's what it is. It's an occult initiation, and if you are able to have such a strong will and to have such strong mind to be able to fight that and to come back through alive, you are one powerful freaking magician. Because a lot of people will lose it. I had a very similar experience on DMT where I was seeing cartoon characters. I was like, went bonkers crazy. And it was a choice. And it was a choice I made. And I said, hell no. I'm not freaking, this is not going to be my life. I will not lose my mind. And it's like this push and pull within your mind when you realize the state of psychosis humanity is in, the state of psychosis you are in, the absolute insanity, which is reality.
Yes.
And that is what made me lose my shit for about 6 months. And I had to be very careful with myself, and I had to be very kind to myself, and I had to be very loving to myself. Because if I didn't, it was going to be like, I would have to be institutionalized. Like, that's how it is. And that's why I say it's not a joke. Psychedelics are not a joke. You have to be a meditative person. You have to meditate a lot, because it's the only thing that will stop you from losing it completely.
I agree 100%. Like, because it's really, I guess in the beginning, we really, even me and you, like, I guarantee we didn't know what the fuck we were getting ourselves into. Like, because when you get to that point and you're like, feel like you're searching for something, and then you get to what you were searching for,
and then you're like, no!
No, yes, exactly. You're like, whoa, I don't know if this is what I was searching for, man. I don't know if this is what I want.
Death is what you're searching for. Death.
Exactly. But in the beginning, we think we're searching for life.
Yeah.
You know?
And I said, oh my God, my grandma was right. The only side of the enlightenment that comes is death. Once you are able to be dead and to realize death is at the end of the tunnel, you are afraid of your impending doom. You know, and the two things that we never think about is when we were born into this world and when we are dead. And we spend all of our time in between just really falling for the illusion, falling for everything, falling. And so being an awakened individual, you start realizing even your partner is an illusion. You know, everything. And it's weird.
Everything.
It's hard to, you know, to have conversations and like
it's hard to balance. It's hard to balance once you have these understandings that's like, dude, we really are one. There's no separation. Like, nothing's really real. The illusion, all this, like, everyone wants to break out of the matrix, but that happens when we die.
Yep.
It's like all these things that it's hard to balance it, because that's how you can lose yourself in the isness or go into a psychosis, or, you know, it's like. And if you go into psychosis and you come out of it, then you're a strong-minded person, and that's what you were meant to be. Because I think that those states are what people run from when that's why they call it a bad trip. When a bad trip comes, it's just the reality of what the psychedelic really is. The psychedelic's trying to show you what really is, and you're like terrified as fuck. You're trying to run away from it because you're just trying to have fun. Yeah. Like, a lot of people go into psychedelics to trying to trip and have fun, and it's like, once you dive deep with these things, that's why I think these things are called shamanic states, because they're meant for shamans.
Yes.
They're not, you know, it's the shaman's supposed to lose his fucking mind, go mad, go crazy. That's what happens because he can somehow bring himself back down to reality enough to function in reality. Other people can't. Other people would lose themselves into the isness completely and lose themselves forever.
And that's,
you know, and that's why I think this is not for everyone. And I've tried to stress that recently, that this isn't for everyone.
That's what I told my partner. That's exactly what I told my partner, because like I was guiding him through a we were just doing it for fun because we were just meeting and we just wanted to bond. And I'm just like, what would bring us together other than 2 tabs of acid? Like, you know, and I had never done recreationally. The first time I had done acid was strictly for shamanic purposes. It was not for fun at all, and it was not fun at all. And I had to die and be rebirthed in order to meet him and to have this experience. So I wanted to celebrate it by having this, you know, experience. And he went too far while he was staring into my eyes. And he said, oh, that's what it is? And I said, yeah. And he said, I can't. He said, I can't go there. I said, of course you can't go there, because if you went there, we wouldn't have you wouldn't have a job. Like, one of us has to be like, together.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same way.
You know, and I just, one of us has to be like the one holding it down.
One of us has to be grounded. I agree.
Yeah,
no, I agree
grounded.
with you.
And like me, like I grew up in a very traditional household, you know. So I grew up in Pakistan where, you know, women were communal and they were wives and they were mothers and they were, you know, just doing, like, I don't think of it as a bad thing of staying home and cooking and cleaning and taking care of children. I don't find that horrible. Like, I think that's a man's right and that's a woman's right if they choose to do that. But one person, one person has to kind of like hold it together. So I always tell him, take psychedelics, but don't go too far, too deep, because like I saw his mind crack, and it was so scary, because like, he literally just wanted to like get out, and I was like, no, 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 and I just hugged him and I said, relax, don't worry, and I had to hold him for hours, and for a month or two, it really affected him, where he was just like a child, and I had to really baby him.
I mean, these experiences can do that, and I think, you know, a lot of people preach the safeties of psychedelics, but they're not really. The safeties of psychedelics isn't necessarily dangerous. It's not dangerous like you're gonna die type shit. It's just, if you don't know your own mind without the psychedelics, it's gonna be harder to know your mind on the psychedelics. And, you know, it's like these things aren't for everyone. And, you know, if you feel, I just felt the calling. Like, when I first heard about psychedelics, I felt the calling. And I was like,
Please tell me about, I know you found the calling because that's why we found each other. I want you to talk about your latest experiences with psychedelics that you had with fire.
Okay. Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, because we only have like 10 minutes.
Right. All right. So I got like, so I've had two recent experiences. The first one was like 2 months ago now. It was a capsule ayahuasca experience I had. And the second one was 2 weeks ago, and that was LSD experience I had. Ironically, the LSD experience ended up being much deeper than the ayahuasca. Ayahuasca was very coddling. Yeah. Like, I don't know, all of a sudden, like, I took it, and then about an hour and a half after I took it, I was laying on the floor, and I started feeling this burning sensation in the back of my head, and this burning sensation spread out throughout my whole body. And it's just, it basically what it was, it like engulfed me into the ocean of the universe, and like I couldn't breathe, I lost sense of body, reality, and I was just with her. And I say with her because in the corner of my eye, I was in the psychedelic space with my eyes closed. It was like a DMT trip, but so slow that it was insane. Like, you know how like in a DMT trip, when you're going through the vortex, things are just going so fast you can't keep up?
Yeah.
Imagine ayahuasca is that, but slow. The fast part is just slow. So all the fast part you're speeding up through that you can't see on DMT because you're just going too fast. It's just going too fast. You have a lot of time. You have like 20 minutes in each space to see in ayahuasca. So the vortex will slowly open and things will slow. It took like 20 minutes for one visual to form. Like I had to slowly watch it behind my eyes and it slowly formed. And then I seen the snake slithering this way out of the corner of my eye and then like slither back around. But it was like a rainbow colored snake made of light. And then I started hearing, this being started talking to me throughout the whole experience. Now with the ayahuasca experience, I didn't get much visuals besides the whole DMT thing enveloped me for a brief amount of time, but the peak was so short that it was like an hour peak and then it was over. But that hour felt like 10 minutes. Like it was nothing. But yeah, I had time to think about all the things that are going through my life. What ayahuasca did for me was it rewired my head. I've been going through a lot of emotional shit with my life, you know, and just personal things I'm going through. And what ayahuasca showed me is like how powerful I am. It also showed me that she has my back. She has all of our back. She's watching over all of us. Even when we think we're alone, we're never alone. And she was telling me basically, it's like the mother like that loves its child even though its child was a murderer or something. Like, you know, a mother will love her child even if her child becomes a murderer or a rapist or whatever. The mother will still love her child. And that's what I got from Mother Ayahuasca. Even though humans are fucking up down here and humans are still doing whatever, she has our back and she still loves us as a whole. And you know, and she's basically waiting for us to come back to her is what I got the gist of. She's still there. She's always been there. And whenever we're ready to reconnect with her, she's ready for us. And then the LSD experience, though, because that was just loving, coddling, and it was beautiful. The LSD experience was maddening.
Yes! Wait, hold on. Let me just cut you off for 1 second. With LSD, for me, it felt like I was in this time loop of my own mind, going in circles and circles and down and down and down.
Dude, it's so insane you just described it that way, bro. That just blew my mind because Phi talks about, so with the LSD, I never really got deep into the LSD until my friend Phi, and that's just his thing. Because every time he takes LSD,
Phi on here.
I was just talking to him yesterday about it, and we'll probably talk later about that because he wants to definitely talk to you and have conversations, and it'll be dope. But because what he does with LSD, every time he does it, he gets in this trance where it's like he's almost like forced to walk around in a circle, and it's like he's literally, it's maddening. And I say maddening because for about 4 to 5 hours we were talking in elf to each other. We lost sense of English. We didn't know what English was. We didn't know what we were. We didn't know what humanity was. We completely lost sense of time, space. And I mean, I have video of it, and I'm gonna have to show you the video footage because, like, literally by the end of the experience, we told people, like we were saying, we can't just have people trip with us anymore. Because if anyone was, we have to have them watch the video and sign a waiver or something because it was so wild. Like, all you seen was nature slowly getting into the trance. Like, he was slowly getting into his thing. But as he was spinning around, it forced me into the trance. Yeah. And at first, I started speaking in elf. I had these weird feelings to talk in this, like, it was like, but what's funny is this. When we were speaking in elf, I call it elf, but Terrence McKenna called it speaking with no syntax. But it's like, it's just like you're speaking without meaning. But what's so interesting is we understood each other. We understood what we were talking about. And you know how, like, a lot of times we say the psychedelic experience is too hard to explain in English? At that point, we understood that the psychedelic experience, we were speaking in elf because of all the information that was flowing. English wouldn't have been able to keep up. So we were learning, we were getting downloaded with so much information, and we embodied what I would call the God machine of reality, where we were literally just part of the machine. Like, we were stuck doing shit like this, but we were stuck like this for fucking 2 or 3 hours, speaking to each other, running around, screaming at the top of our lungs. His wife was crying. We were all crying and screaming, laughing. Like, for one point, we felt like we were the Joker. You know how, like, the Joker is, like, mad, laughing, like, ha, ha, ha. Like, we were that, laughing, mad, hysterically. Lost our minds completely. And I mean, I'm so surprised we didn't get the cops called because we were so
That's how you know you had a good trip.
And it was just so by the end of it, we said so many people would have said that was a bad trip, but it was beautiful because at that point, I loved the maddening part. Yeah. I love losing my fucking mind. Yeah. Like, it made me realize how much, like, shamans must love what they do or they wouldn't do it. Yeah. Because in order to go deep into a shamanic state like that, you have to somewhat enjoy it. You have to have a weird, twisted sense of fun in a way.
That's
where it's like. And I think that was me and my friends. Like, we had this weird, twisted sense of fun where at that point we understood we were in the isness, and we called it the isness. They've never had a DMT breakthrough before, but I have many times. So you were prepared. I explained to them that was a DMT breakthrough. Like, that experience made me redefine what a breakthrough is, because I thought that you can only get there with DMT, and I was reminded, like, no. DMT is the thing that can get you there without you having to try. Yes. With LSD, we literally had to get up, dance around, lose humanity. I had to forget I was human. Yes. We had to forget everything on our own. We had to slowly it started in stages where we had to slowly just get into it and let go. And we started singing, like, these frequencies out of our voice. We started singing them together, and we started, like, doing, like, oh, and basically like Icaros, like shamans sing Icaros. We started singing Icaros together, but my voice is a little higher than his. His voice is very deep, and his girl's voice, obviously she has a female voice, so it's a little higher pitched than all of ours. So together we just hit this beautiful in sync frequency, and we were I mean, there was a point, as weird as this sounds, where I was laying over on one side. It was like we were all separated across the room, laying on the floor together. But as we were singing these frequencies together, we hit a point of connection that was like an orgasm. It was almost like the spiritual buildup of and by the time the frequencies came out, we were like, whoo, like speaking these high toned frequencies that we can't explain. And at that point, that was just life to us. We completely lost sense of reality, and what we were light beings or God that was speaking to other gods, on reality, on what to do with the space. Like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it almost felt like we were three different parts of God having conversation. Like, we're talking in elf, but yet we understood what we were talking about, and we understood that we were talking about the workings of reality. We were just singing objects in the creation. We understood that because his wife wasn't singing in elf, so she was the only one that she was kind of observing, singing the frequencies, but she wasn't singing in elf or talking in elf like me and Phi were. But she said she's seen when me and him were speaking in elf to each other, we would talk like this, like when like the demeanor of our whole demeanor changed and switched. And she said when we were doing that, things were like objects of sacred geometry was flying out of our mouth. Like, and when we moved our hands like this, we wouldn't even try. But she said, like, it's almost like the energy, the sacred geometry would move with it, and we would turn the energy, go this way, move it that way, create it whatever we wanted. And it just, we completely lost our minds, and that was the whole trip for like up until it started coming down. Then we started making sense of it, but for like the first hour of the come down, we didn't know what was going on. I almost forgot that I took LSD. I thought that I took DMT because of how deep it was. For a second, I thought I took DMT. And I was like, fuck, man, we just came back from a DMT trip. And then I remembered, well, I haven't had DMT in over a year. Yeah. So it's like, fuck, well, obviously that wasn't DMT. And like, I had to remember what my name was. What happened
to me. Oh my God.
It was insane. It was a very deep shamanic experience. By the end of it, we just, I don't know, we had all these ideas, and like I tried to record them. We recorded a lot of the ideas. We recorded, the video was captured, which was great because it was the first time we've been able to capture this type of experience, because I don't know, talking about it is one thing, but when somebody sees this, they're going to be like, I don't ever want to do that. Because it doesn't look like fun. It looks like you just lost your fucking mind and you need to go into psych ward. But what it really is that's the real shamanic state of what is. You know, it's the isness. And we had the choice to come back or to be trapped in the isness. Because like the visuals didn't stop for like 15 hours. Like I was still tripping hard. And even like the next day I was like, man. Like, it was absolutely mind-blowing. But that's why, with me, these videos help so much. Like, the videos help me so much with keeping myself sane. Because I can put the information on a video, and I can almost erase it from my own head. Yes. Because it's hard to be human and balanced. It's like living two lives. It's like living a double life. One's in the 3D, the other one's in the 5th dimension and the 8th dimension. And, you know, so it's like, sometimes I feel like I got to save the knowledge somewhere besides in my own head.
Oh, man. This is definitely not only going up on the Quantum Collective channel, but also my main channel. Because I think, like, a lot of people could learn a lot from this video cast and from your experiences. And I find when we compare our experiences, the thing is, like, the problem with me, or the problem that I have with the community, is that it's become, again, this elitist, you know, thing where people are doing podcasts and trying to, again, institutionalize this and have really fancy people come in with their PhDs and all of this stuff. And it just becomes, again, this, like, you think you're better and you have to have this PhD to talk about it. You have to train in Peru with a shaman to talk about this. But I find that there are, it's making it a little bit too intellectualized than what it really should be.
I get what you mean, because humans think too much, we don't feel enough.
Yes.
you know.
And that's what I see going on with a lot of these podcasts. Like, they're always putting on, you know, ethnobotanists and doctors and psychologists. But I find that, you know, we need to start putting in the shamans and the self-taught shaman, you know, and it's a regular person thing. It's not this elitist thing, you know. Again, you said that some black people think that it's just a white person thing. I think that's the illusion we're trying to break. We're trying to bring this to the women. We're trying to bring this to the women of color. We're trying to bring this to the people of color, and make it a very inclusive versus exclusive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Where can people find your work?
Well, so I'm on YouTube, Mark Dreams 2. I'm on Minds. And everywhere else is like Mark Dreams 25. So Minds.com, Mark Dreams 25. BitChute's Mark Dreams 25. Instagram is Mark Dreams 25. And my email at Yahoo is Mark Dreams 25.
Awesome. Very cool.
You know, you learn a lot about your friends, even though you've been friends with them for over 2 years, you still learn more and more about them. So just made me realize that we are here together to just do some awesome things. I just learned that we were born a day apart, and we're both goats. We're both Capricorns. So yeah, just like so much more understanding, so much more love, so much more resonance. And I honestly hope that all of this censorship and all of this, you know, stuff will really just bring us together and make us a collective unit that works together like a well-oiled machine. I realize that in times of need, we really have to come together and love one another and support one another and be each other's cheerleaders and be each other's promoters and just really just support anyone that is on this path. I did hear from him that Carpo 719 was deleted, and it just really makes me sad, man. And it just really goes to show that it's more than just the persona. It is the message, and there's clearly an agenda to suppress this knowledge. And yeah, so I'm really thankful that I could have this experience and share this with you guys. Anyway, reflections, I hope you're having an awesome, awesome, awesome day.